all right, we're finally here. We're actually talking about Clan Hecata in my part 3 series on this clan. So, I'm not going to re-explain everything. This is part 3. You need the context of the previous 2. Sorry. So go back and watch those. But before we get started, I just want to say, I am affiliated with NordVPN. My channel, I guess now, is brought to you by NordVPN. This isn't even me playing it up. I actually use NordVPN, so this is a legitimate recommendation. I think it's good. So yeah, if you want better internet security, NordPass for helping with your passwords, because having a strong password, very important, or the one I primarily use it for, jumping around to other countries to get access to their version of Netflix or Hulu or whatever. I will track it down, but there is a website. I will track it down, but there's a very cool website that tells you, like, for each show and movie, what country's streaming service has it. So yeah, click my links in the description of this video. For both of them, if you use it and sign up, it does help the channel, and I at least like the fact I am shilling a product I enjoy. Where last we left off, Augustus Giovanni gone. Their entire long process of collecting souls for their big ritual, gone. The Second Inquisition hunting them down, even forcing them out of the United States itself. They were forced to flee back to Venice. And the Harbingers of the Skulls already coming at their door, beating their ass. So what do? They have to readjust, do something drastic. Diplomacy. All of those reasons, very valid reasons to have to readjust your clan structure. A real big kicker is the agreement between the Giovanni and the Camarilla, the one that's set to expire in 2028. Kind of a blink of an eye for a vampire and a mortal being. No one knew what was going to happen when this agreement ended. The big fear for the Giovanni was that the Camarilla would then move in and try to take them over. Especially because at this point, they're like the last remaining independent sect, clan, group in Vampire. The Banu Hakim, they're now part of the Camarilla. The Ministry's hanging out with the Anarchs. So they did the family reunion, which is not like a sit-down family reunion, nice dinner meeting. It's a very long process. A lot of underhanded deals, secret deals, and dealing with elders. Because at this point, the beckoning had started to occur, pulling a lot of the elders to the Middle East to go fight in the Gehenna Wars. This is something that the Clan Hecata, which I'm just going to call them this, were immune to because their antediluvian was gone. That's the theory. The theory is that because Cappadocius is dead, the beckoning is actually the call of each clan's antediluvian sending psychic signals to the bloodline, and Cappadocius ain't there to do that. So a lot of the elders had to stay there. And this is all relayed in the book Cult of the Blood, which there's some issues with some V5 books. I think they're not laid out the best. Cult of the Blood is actually very good. I recommend that. It lays out in pretty big detail, in narrative detail too, exactly with the family reunion, and a big kicker is that everyone was really mad. The younger Giovanni were pissed that Augustus just left. They were pissed that the elders were just kind of holding on to this old way of living. In fact, a lot of the younger Giovanni were rebelling, saving Cappadocian clan members, hiding them from being murdered, or just working against their older elders. It was kind of shaping to be a tiny version of the Anarch Revolt, just less violent and just insular to the clan. So with this reunion, they called every single type of kindred that likes death, either traces of Giovanni or the Cappadocian bloodline, or just, are you a weird necromancer? Come on. Just a quick rundown of those 10. We have Giovanni, obviously. We have the remnants of Cappadocian, that being the Harbingers of Ashur or the Harbingers of Skulls. We have the Nason Sanan, which are Caribbean voodoo practicing vampires. We have the Gorgons, which are the last bastion of Lamia bloodline, the Lamia being one of Cappadocian's key followers and also one of the few warrior groups of the old clan Cappadocian. The Flesh Eaters, Nagaraja, who to get their blood they have to literally eat flesh. There's one in the game, Bloodlines. The Bankers of Duncern, who are Scottish cannibal bankers who were allied with Giovanni way back in the day. The Children of Tenochtitlan, who are Aztec death cult members who also were allies with the Giovanni. We have the Puttanesca, who, if you thought the Giovanni were just mafia vampires, the Puttanesca are literally bad. And the Milliners, who are, again, Giovanni allies, very mob boss style. With all those groups together, they created a pact with each other, not just hey, we're now gonna be one group, the Hecata. They also did some rituals that kind of bound their blood together with interesting effects I will get to. Alongside this, they culled many of the elders or just clan members who were going to hold them back, largely Giovanni. You have an old-ass Giovanni still wanting to do their weird, creepy incest necrophilia thing, dead. And that's not to say the Hecata just did this to clean up their image or they had a moral issue with all of this. No, this is a necessity. They needed to bind together to become something stronger. If you were going to stand in that way, you were gone, which would also shape a key philosophy for Hecata, because now they were more than just a sect or a clan, they were a family. Like the Giovanni, it's also kind of set up to be like a big corporation. They have many different levels, all working for their goal of maintaining independence. The reunion allowed Clan Hecata to enter the playing field with a much stronger political arm. They have actual weight to throw around. They still treat it like a family, and willy-nilly embraces are still frowned upon. They don't want that. They do have very specific things that they're looking for a new kindred. It's just, you know, less incesty. That all has been kind of axed from Hecata. So a key thing they do are people who are very strong-willed, people who are self-made, and those they believe will do whatever needs to be done for their goal. Their goal of, it's us against everyone else. We are actively participating in kindred politics, but we need to have the upper hand. So these are things like mob bosses, big CEOs who started their company from nothing, or necromancers, if you are a necromancer mortal, because you can learn magic as like a mortal. It's just hard. You can do it. Honestly, a pretty sick deal for those mortal necromancers, because now they get access to a stronger form of it. So let's get into that part, the disciplines. There's one key little issue I have. However, Hecata kind of gets around one of my issues with V5's whole discipline thing, because there's a lot of freedom of what you can do as a member of Clan Hecata. You get access to aspects of Vampiric Sight, extra helpful because it lets you see the unseen like spirits. You have Fortitude for corpse-like resistance, and it's not necromancy here because it's V5, you have Oblivion. This is the part I actually have an issue with. Now, I understand the reason for this, and logically speaking, the V5 discipline system actually gives you as a player access to more powers, which allows for more build variety. I emotionally don't like the fact that unique disciplines aren't a thing anymore. I have a key tenet that player choice is like the most important thing for a tabletop game. A player should be able to really flex their muscles and build what they want to build. And the one thing that shakes that is specifically having Oblivion be shared by Lasombra and Hecata, because it feels really wrong to me to have a Lasombra doing necromancy, even though both powers, why it's called Oblivion, is because it comes from the Shadowlands. Purely emotional argument. This isn't game design going into this. It's just a me thing. The part that is cool, though, is all those bloodlines I mentioned. You can make your character fit more into those roles. An element I do like a lot with V5 is I really like their lore sheets. Other games have done this, but I like the V5 lore sheets a lot, because you can play any of them. Do you want to play the Nagaraja? Well, the book does lay out the types of disciplines all of those bloodlines have access to. So the GM can allow some switching. If you want to play a Nagaraja specifically, just switch out Fortitude with Dominance. Boom. Again, the Cult of the Blood is a very good book. I do recommend this book. And then let's get into their Banes and Compulsions. So, Clan Hecata, because they did this ritual of almost fusing their blood together, melding it into one, the Clan Banes have changed. Because, like, there's Clan Banes for these vampires where they look like walking corpses, or eating flesh. That whole thing, kinda gone. Instead, the bloodline is inherited Clan Giovanni's curse, the painful kiss. It hurts a lot when you bite someone, drain their blood, and it's a little hard to keep them alive, like I said in Giovanni video. This is something I've seen complaints about, and I honestly totally understand, because if you want to play like a Nagaraja, you want that Clan Bane, super fair. It feels a little weird that, like, they can undo some of these Banes, especially the Cappadocian one, which was arguably left by Cain, even though there are sources that say that the reason he looks like a corpse is because part of his soul was left in the Shadowlands. My interpretation of this is that with the merging of the blood, it took the more potent curse that was available, because there were a lot more Clan Giovanni members, so it just kind of pooled it all into there. That is my belief. Although, an element I think you could very easily do is I think you could just have like a different Clan Bane. I want to be these guys. I want to look like a corpse. We'll just take the one from like 20th anniversary edition. And then their compulsion. Whenever the beast is roused, a member of Clan Hecata is morbid. They're really fascinated with death. It's a little creepy. And yeah, like that's kind of where we end with Hecata. Hecata being a brand new clan in the scene, there's not like as much meat to tear into, because their current point right now is that fight for independence. It's them against the world. So that's where you are as a kindred if you decide to play a member of Clan Hecata. The last thing I want to do here, I want to analyze this more on a meta level, like what is actually happening here, because I have seen people already in my comments and just out and about in the internet people who don't like the idea of the family reunion and they don't like this melding of the clans. I think it's totally fair. Right now, looking at it mechanically, I like it. I am still in the fence if I like it full narratively. I think it makes sense for what you're trying to do with the game, where you're trying to get all these tiny little groups all sharing the same vibe and push them into one. A thing I just don't agree with, though, is that the clan identities are somehow erased in this melding, because they're straight up not. It certainly looks that way when you hear the idea of the family reunion and you just see it on the surface. When you actually like read the Cult of the Blood, it gives your GM every single tool to help differentiate you. You want to play a Banker of Dunsim? Easy as hell. It's going to be on like the player if you were going to play one of these bloodlines to try to define it and make it something that isn't just Hecata, but like all the tools are there to do this, which is my exact jam as a tabletop player. I really like this form of style. You have one official thing as the game has gone on, but you give every single tool to work around it. All these tools, by the way, you can use to just keep Hecata Giovanni. You can just have that in your world and never change, because World of Darkness is what you believe World of Darkness is. The lore is apocryphal. So if in your game you like the idea of the Giovanni more, keep the Giovanni. My World of Darkness runs in line more with what the straightforward canon is, with a lot of different offshoots. I'm a big fan of the supernatural kitchen sink where everything is active at the same time. And the one, you have to stretch your imagination to understand why this is still a secret world, which the answer for that is mages. Mages are the reason. But that's just because I find that vibe fun. I like the world. I think World of Darkness becomes a little sadder when werewolves and wraiths and mages and mummies and all them aren't in it too. But that's just me. And that's the version I'd say on my videos. So you can have your own. It's totally fine. But yeah, that's Clan Hecata. And we got one more of the mainline clans until down the line I'm going to cover more bloodlines and different things. I am going to cover the Nagaraja because they're very interesting. And I do want to delve in more to the Tal Mel Ra because I've heard it's both kind of cool and kind of dumb. I'm excited. I know like a decent bit about it already. I want the in-depth stuff. Yeah, that is just gonna wrap this up. I want to thank my channel members who make all these videos possible. It's greatly appreciated, especially right now. It is really appreciated. And a huge shout out to my top tier channel members, that being Hazard650, Lucky Finds 23, Pork Chomp, and Czar Shadow. Thank you all so much. This means the world. But yeah, with that, like, comment, subscribe. Use my link, sign up for NordVPN today, and any other YouTube stuff you can think of. See ya.